In the dark, dank clubs of Los Angeles in 1985, a new sound was born. It was a sound that mixed danger, sex, drugs, and raw, untamed rock and roll, and it would change the face of music forever. Five misfits who had nowhere else to go found each other in the seedy underbelly of the Sunset Strip. There was Axl Rose, a fiery singer from Indiana with a voice like gravel and a mean streak to match. Slash, the top-hatted guitar prodigy from London who could turn a power chord into a squealing guitar tornado. Duff McKagan, a Seattle punk holding his own with a bass as thick and chunky as he was. Izzy Stradlin, the cool rhythm guitarist who always seemed to have a joint burning in his fingertips. And finally, Steven Adler, a wild man behind the drums, pounding skins with the fury of 1,000 junkyard dogs. They called themselves Guns N' Roses, and their live shows were pure chaos. They took the raunchy blues of the past and injected it with the high-octane energy of punk rock, creating a sound that was both familiar and dangerous. Their fans, mostly teenage boys who felt the same alienation and anger that the band did, flocked to them like moths to a flame. In 1987, their debut album, Appetite for Destruction, dropped and the world was never the same again. It started with a bang, quite literally, the gunshot that opens Welcome to the Jungle. And then there he was, Axl, spitting out lyrics about the dark underbelly of the city, the violence, the sex, the drugs, and the sleaze. The album was a raw nerve, a middle finger to everything the old guard of rock and roll stood for, and the kids loved it. Welcome to the Jungle became an anthem for a generation. Sweet Child O' Mine showed another side of the band, a power ballad that soared with /S impossibly nimble guitar work, and a video that featured one of the greatest guitar solos ever recorded. But it was tracks like Paradise City, with its sing-along chorus and feel-good guitar riff that truly captured the spirit of the age. Guns N' Roses weren't just making music, they were creating an experience. They were giving voice to the disaffected youth, the outcasts, the rebels, and the dreamers. Appetite for Destruction went on to become one of the best-selling debut albums of all time. But as the band toured and recorded, the darkness that had always lurked beneath the surface began to consume them. Adler was the first to go, lost in a maelstrom of drugs and alcohol. He was fired in 1990, but the damage was already done. Izzy left soon after, frustrated with the growing chaos and the feeling that the band had lost their edge. But Axl Rose pressed on, stubborn and determined to keep the band alive, even as the classic lineup fell apart around him. He wrote the songs for Use Your Illusion I and II, albums that were ambitious and sprawling, filled with grand ballads and epic videos. But even as the band became bigger and wealthier, the internal battles continued. By the mid-1990s, the classic lineup had all but fallen apart, leaving Axl to carry the name through years of silence, false starts, and lineup changes. Meanwhile, Slash and Duff went on to build successful careers of their own, each releasing multiple albums and keeping the memory of Guns N' Roses alive in their own music. Fans wondered if they'd ever see the band reform, or if the differences were just too great to overcome. Then in 2016, the unthinkable happened. Axl, Slash, and Duff reunited for a one-off show in China. It was an instant classic, a reminder of the raw power and chemistry that had made them so great in the first place. The Not in This Lifetime tour that followed packed stadiums around the world, proving that despite the chaos, the fire was still there. Today, Guns N' Roses continue to make music and tour, reminding us that some bands are too big to die. In the annals of rock and roll history, few bands have left a mark as indelible as Guns N' Roses. They were the epitome of the Sunset Strip, the personification of 1980s excess, and the voice of a generation. They were, and perhaps will always be, the most dangerous band in the world.